Hi there, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 373. I'm Lisa, also known as Fiber Nymph, and today is Tuesday, August 31st. It's the last day of August. Tomorrow is September 1st. That's how that works. I know how calendars work. And that means it's the first day of meteorological fall. I'm all about that. So yay, I'm ready for fall. I am ready for fall. We just got back from our trip. We did end up taking our trip. I'll talk about that more later. But the last time I recorded, I had told you we were planning for a vacation that we weren't 100% sure we were going to be able to take. And then I think it was later that day, or maybe it was the next day, Bill realized, yes, he could take work off the next week. So we were like full force into planning a trip in basically under a week, like getting reservations and all that good stuff. So anyway, but we were in New England. We went up to Maine, but passing through like Vermont and New Hampshire and going into Maine, the leaves are starting to change up there a little bit. It was super exciting to see. So I knew they wouldn't be changed here yet, but it's always really neat whenever we go away. Like at this time of year, like the second half of August, going into early September, if you're away for a week or more and then you come back home, you can always sense a shift in the seasons. At least I can, and before we left, it was already starting to shift a little bit. Like I could tell like the light is different and, it's starting to get dark earlier and stay dark a little later in the morning and everything. But after being away, because up in Maine, we were on the coast of Maine, the sun rises, wait, does it rise later? It sets earlier for sure. I don't know, whatever. It was different, totally different light. And it did feel a little bit fallish, except we had really, really hot weather several days. So that did not feel fallish. But it was a good trip. And again, I will talk more about that later in the podcast. But that being said, that we were away on this motorcycle trip, if you guys have been around for a while, you know that when I go away on trips, I always pack a lot of knitting. And not a lot of knitting happens while I'm away though, and that held true this time too. I did only take 2 projects though. I narrowed it down. I took 1 work in progress, and then I took a whole bunch of mini skeins because I had something that I kind of wanted to start. I didn't touch that. And I worked on the sock like 2 days, but I'll show you that in a little bit. So anyway, not a whole lot to share with you on the crafting front, although I do have a finished object. But I do have new things. I want to say acquirements. That's not the word. Things that I have acquired. There's a word. It's on the tip of my tongue. Everybody says it in their podcasts. It'll come to me. You're probably yelling it. Anyway, whatever. Okay, and just so you know, my laptop is to the right of me, kind of off to the side, and I don't have my contacts in, so I'm going to be over there squinting and glancing at my laptop. And as you can see, I'm in our dining room, living room, great open room area here in the house. I've recorded here before. It's not anything new. I just haven't been out here recently, but Bill is at his office today and Emma is at work, so I'm home by myself. So this is where I had my computer when I was typing up my show notes, so I just set everything up here and I figured, why not? The lighting's actually pretty decent here. It's a very gray, rainy day today. So lighting is always an issue, but it's pretty decent right here. So we're gonna go, and I moved all my dead plants. I moved the dead plants that were sitting here and put living ones here. So I've rearranged. This is actually not a pot of dead plant. Whatever this is, I can never remember what this is called. What is this? Somebody knows. I don't know what it is. It's just one long vine of a leaf, and I've never been able to get him to like branch out. So I don't know, but he's there. The dead things are behind. Oh God, you can see them right there. I didn't move them very well. Just ignore them. Ignore the dead things. What dead things? There's no dead things. No dead things. Okay. Let's get started. I have a bunch of, just to give you a heads up of things I'm going to talk about. Like I said, there's limited crafting. There is some, not a ton, but I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about vacation at the end. The Pigskin Party, Down Cellar Studio Pigskin Party is gearing up. It starts not this weekend, but next weekend. So I'm going to talk about that because I'm a sponsor for that, and I've got a colorway and cool stuff for that. I have my fall colorway shop updates going to also be happening that weekend, so I'm going to talk about that later on. And my club signups, my Encore Yarn and Fiber Club signups, they end today. Chances are, by the time this is up, you're probably not even going to see this for that announcement to mean anything. Yeah, but hopefully if you wanted to sign up, you already signed up. So anyway, all right, let's get started. I have a finished object, and I finished it yesterday morning. We got home Sunday, and this is what I wanted to work on yesterday first thing, and I finished it, and it's my tube cowl, which I'm calling now my beaded tube cowl because it's beaded and it's a tube cowl and it was crocheted. I didn't put crochet in the title though, so here it is. Check it out. Isn't it cool? I love how it turned out. Now it's funny, you can definitely see where I carried the yarns for the striping on that in that section. Yeah, you can see it there too. It goes around. Emma was kind enough to model it for me earlier today so I could take pictures, and I had to kind of adjust it. But anyway, it's nice and long. I believe I measured it. It's like about 52 inches long, 54 inches in circumference, you know, in the loop. So here's where it hits, you know, about my waistband right there when I'm wearing it that way, but I intend to wear it doubled. So, and I really like how it fits doubled, and I like how it looks doubled too. Now, see, the last couple times I put this on, this stripy section just sort of, here, let me try that again. It kind of matters where I put the stripy section to start with. If I put it here and then double it, yeah, see, I think that looks kind of neat. It just sort of peeks out. Well, if I played with it, you'd see it a little bit differently. But anyway, I like how it fits when it's looped around twice. And I like how all of the different sections look really different. And I don't care that you can see that carry line. It doesn't bother me at all. It's just part of it. Because this whole thing was just a kind of wing it and plan it on the fly, as I've mentioned before. So let me talk a little bit about what it is in case you haven't seen the last several episodes. I'm trying to remember when I started this. I think it was early July or maybe in June. I don't remember now. I started it because I thought I could finish it during the splash pad party. That was a hoot because it's fingering weight, and even though it was crochet and crochet tends to go faster, single crochet in fingering weight just takes a long time, no matter what. So, but the yarns that I used were all Legacy Fiber Artz yarn. I had 2 different mini skein sets, and then I had a full skein that had also come with a mini, like a heels and toes kind of mini skein with it. So I used 8 of the mini skeins from those 2 mini skein sets. Here, I'm going to take this off. It is a little bit warm today. Muggy, you know, humid. So let's see, where did I start? I started here. You can see, like I talked about this before, that my starting edge was definitely wider and a little more wibbly wobbly than the rest of the cowl as it progressed. It didn't matter because when I got to the end, I was just single crocheting it together as I went. It's not neat, and it looks different on one. Like here you can see sort of a chain. I was working it from the inside for a while, but then I got around far enough that I couldn't really do that anymore. So it's sort of a hot mess, but you know what? It doesn't matter because that's the part I'll probably most likely keep towards my back, the back of my neck anyway. And when it's doubled over, that stuff gets hidden. So anyway, so I used, let's see, so this was my first mini, second one, third one, and then you can see this in between each of the minis. This was some of the full skein. I did not do the same number of rounds. Here's a mini. The minis all ended up kind of doing the same size sections, except these 2, since I striped them, it's a double long section. I actually think that looks kind of cool. Now, I don't think I would want that up the middle of a sweater, but on this, I think it looks kind of neat. And then that was the last one, and then this is where I grafted it. So, and as you can see, I put in beads. You can just see the little beads that I have in there very randomly. I placed about 1 bead per round. So I have no idea how many rounds there are. I estimated how many beads I used so I could subtract that amount of weight from the finished thing. I estimated that I used probably about 15 grams of beads, thereabouts. Since it's not being counted for any like official along or anything, I don't care how exact I am, but I used approximately 200 grams of yarn just based on the weight of the minis and how much of the full skein that I used. So that came out to be something like 926 yards, around there. So it was a good chunky yarn out of my stash, which I was happy about because I have had these mini sets and that full skein for quite a while from Legacy Fiber Artz. So I was really glad to be able to use it. And it's something that I'll wear because I love tube cowls. I love things like this, and I do wear them a lot in the winter time. So I used a D crochet hook. That's kind of my go-to size of a crochet hook when I'm using fingering weight yarn. And all the other explanation for what I've done, I've talked about in all the other podcasts that I've been working on this, and it's kind of spelled out pretty well in my project page. So that'll be linked in the show notes. So yeah, that's a finished object, yay! So glad to have that done. It felt good to get something off the needles as soon as we came home from our trip. Okay, so moving along, the project that I took with me on the trip, you might remember I told you I had cast on a pair of shorty socks and I was going to take those, and I thought I did pack those to take with me, but then I realized I didn't. But I had cast on another sock right before I left, and this is the sample for my Pigskin Party colorway, my exclusive colorway for this year. And so I think that's why I decided to take it, because I had cast it on and got it knit far enough that I could use it for the photos I needed to take before I left. And then I thought, you know what, I really like this color, so I'm just going to continue and make it into a pair of socks for myself. Not that I need more socks, but you know how that goes. So anyway, here it is. And this is called No Place Like Home. The backstory to this, and I am going to share a little bit more about this in the shop news segment. Steph from Adorn It, she makes the stitch markers, and they have progress keepers and bags and things like that. She had approached me a couple months ago and asked if I wanted to collaborate on a project for the Pigskin Party this year. And I was like, sure, because she said, I have this really, really cute fabric that I'm going to use this year, and I'd love to see a self-striping yarn to go with it. And so real quick, here's the fabric. Here's the bags that she's selling. So this is the fabric, and then this is the colorway that I put together to go with it. So I think it's super fun. And I'll be talking more about this in the shop news segment, because I have a really small number of sets, like the yarn and the bag and the stitch markers, that you can buy all together in one. Steph had 10 of them, and they already sold out in her shop. I haven't put them in my shop yet. I have 6. They'll be going in tomorrow evening, so you can be looking for that. But again, I'll give you all those details later. But that's where this colorway came from. So that is my Pigskin Party colorway for this year. No place like home, because there is no place like home, and you never realize that quite as much as when you've been away on a vacation and then you come home and it's like, no matter how much fun I had on my trips, I always love coming home. But when it comes to football teams too, people are like, there's no place like your home team, right? It doesn't matter where you live. You're always going to root for your home team. So I really like the double play on that name of that colorway. So No Place Like Home. This is my bounce base. And I'm just doing my regular sock. I did, I don't know, 9 or 10 rounds of a 2x1 rib, 60 stitches, US 1 needles. Did the cuff. Cuffs, that's probably about my average cuff length. I don't know. It's probably a little over 6.5 inches maybe. Doing my normal heel flap, heel turn, and now I'm on my gusset decreases. So it's a little odd having it on a sock blocker like that, but that's where I'm at. So it was probably about right here. I think that green stripe was where it was whenever I left. Was that where it was? I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think that's probably where it was. So this is all I did while I was away. Like I said, I didn't really work on it too much. We had one day. Well, as you might remember, Hurricane Henri was heading towards New England right before we were leaving. And so the first day we drove, we didn't have any rain. The second day it was from Bennington, Vermont up to Brunswick, Maine. That second day, that was Sunday. That was when the hurricane was kind of hitting, I think. I forget. It was south of Maine, so it was hitting lower. But we were in the outer bands of the rain, and we had a lot of rain that day. So we made it to our motel, and thankfully it was not a long driving day. We made it to our motel and basically just hung out, the rest of the afternoon and evening. So that was one day that I knit some. And then the other day that I did a little bit of knitting was one of our later days in the trip, when we were up in Lubec, Maine, up at kind of the northern part of the coast, right across from Canada. It was really cool. We were waiting to go on a whale watching trip, so we had some time in the morning. And the house we were staying in there, these little cottages, so cute. This really cute front porch was actually the back porch, but it faced the water. And so, like, I could just sit on the deck and watch the boats and see Canada. And my phone thought we were in Canada, because as soon as we went to the Quoddy Head Lighthouse, Quoddy Head Point Lighthouse, I think, which is the furthest eastern point of the United States. I did not know that. As soon as we got there, my phone was like, "Welcome to Canada. You're now using your international service." It's like, I'm still in the United States. So I guess I was hitting a Canadian cell phone tower or something. I don't know. Anyway, I had a little bit of time that morning, and I sat and worked on my sock that day. But that was it. That was the only time I worked on anything while we were away, which is not shocking. I know I never get to work on stuff while I'm away, but I'm usually either too tired by the end of the day, because we end up doing a lot, or we're just busy and like knitting isn't what's on my radar. So, whatever, it's fine. I had a good time. One thing I did get to do on this trip that we almost never do is I got to stop at yarn shops. I don't usually make that a priority on my vacations. I don't know why. I know a lot of people really like to shop at yarn stores and get their souvenir shopping done there. It could be that, like, a lot of times I don't really buy souvenirs. I take a lot of pictures while I'm away, and I consider that my souvenir basically of a trip. Not that we don't buy things here and there, but I don't know. Yarn shops aren't usually on the top of my list to stop at, mainly because also I don't want to subject Bill to having to stop at a lot of yarn shops. But going to Maine, I had a list of like 20 different yarn shops just in Maine, like around areas that we were going to be stopping. Now, fortunately, probably for both Bill and for my wallet, a lot of them were not going to be open at the times that we were going to be near them. And then other ones, we just weren't going to have time to stop. So it was mainly, what could we do? And out of all of the ones that I had on this list, there was one that I really, really wanted to stop at, which was the One Lupin shop in Bangor. And I didn't get to stop there because we didn't roll into Bangor till later and they were already closed. Or roll through Bangor. We weren't really stopping in Bangor for anything other than we were going to stop at that yarn shop. But anyway, that's fine. We had gone on a whale watching trip that morning that we hadn't planned to go on. That's why we were running late. And that was fine because we saw whales. It was a lot of fun. Okay, so I got to stop at 3 yarn shops, and I'm going to go through these. Well, I was going to do them in reverse order because of how I had everything set out here on the table, but now I've rearranged things because I was showing Emma stuff before she left for work. So we'll go in the order of the shops that I went to. The first shop I got to stop at was in Belfast, Maine, and it was called Heavenly Yarns. And I have the owner's business card somewhere, but I cannot remember her name. She was really sweet and very helpful, and she was lovely. So I will put her information and the shop's information in the show notes. And I said, hey, I'm traveling and I would really like to get some local yarns. What do you have? And she's like, let me show you. And she had a lot of Maine yarns. That was very exciting. So the first yarns that I picked up were from Mad Fuzzy. So Mad Fuzzy is on Instagram as Mad Fuzzy, M-A-D-D. So here's the labels of their yarn. I'm not sure how well you can see that. Mad Fuzzy yarn. I'll put all of this yarn and shop information in the show notes. Anyway, so these two are woolly wools, and I originally thought that they were the same yarn, but they're not. They're both DK weights though. This one is Old World DK, which is a 100% BFL cross wool, 275 yards. It's called Bryce. And I actually picked this one up second. I had picked this one up first. It was called Sister Golden Hair Surprise on the Squish DK, which is 100% Clun Forest, at 225 yards. So there's less on here than there is on here. But I thought they went together well, and I think I might weave with these. That's my plan. So yeah, since they have, this one has more yardage than this one, so I may warp with this one and then I might do the, oh my gosh, what's it called? The weaving that I did, remember the one where it was coming in from both sides? Why can't I remember the words? I'll put it down here. Sorry, I guess my brain's still on vacation. But anyway, that was my thought for these two. I thought this would make a really fun scarf or one of my fringy cowls or something like that. So that was that plan that I had in mind. Not that you have to have a plan to buy yarn. Anyway, then the next yarn I bought was from Swan's Island, which is, I believe, an island off of the coast of Maine. I didn't look that up. The Swan's Island website, I did look at the website though. I guess they used to be on an island, but now they're in Northport, Maine. And all of their wool is US based, a lot of it from New England, but some is like out on ranches in the West and stuff that they get their yarn from. It's all milled in mills in New England. I'm not sure. Something said like in the oldest spinning mill somewhere, and it made me think maybe they use Bartlett yarn mill. I don't know that for sure though. That was just a thought. Anyway, and then they dye it in Maine. And they also they weave. They have like finished weaving objects that they sell as well, like blankets and things like that. Really cool stuff. So check out their website if you're interested. But anyway, they had a lot of these small skeins in a lot of different colors, and I love this. This is like a crayon box for me. So I got 5 of these. So these are Rambouillet, 100% Rambouillet wool, which I don't see an awful lot. So I was excited to get this. It's 2-ply, it's sport weight, right? Sport weight? I think it's sport weight. Yes, sport weight. This color is Poppy. This one is Azure, Plum, Cloud, and Ochre. I just thought these were so pretty together. There was a bunch of other colors, but like I would have had to have gotten like a whole other set to do something, unless I was trying to behave a little bit, you know. But I think I'm going to use these 5 for a single project. I don't know if that'll end up being like a color work project. It could be. I could do a color work project with these, or something stripy, like a shawl. I don't know. I haven't decided what these are going to be, but I do know I'm going to use them all in one project. So that was another thing I bought there. And then I was going to stop there, but they also carried a lot of Quince & Co. yarn, which I don't know where Quince & Co. is based out of, but I do think they're in Maine. Are they in Maine? I don't know. I meant to look it up. Sorry. I know they're a US-based yarn. Anyway, this is, I have not used I don't think I've ever used Quince & Co. Maybe I haven't, I'm just not thinking of it, but this is some Willet, which is 100% cleaner cotton. You can see that. Sorry, this isn't focusing super well. Cleaner cotton is soft, sturdy, and airy. Little Willet is made from California-grown cleaner cotton, which is trademarked. It's a long and extra long staple cotton, also known as Pima and Akala. It's grown without the most harmful chemicals common to cotton growing and uses integrated pest management strategies to ward off pests and reduce water use. So that's pretty cool. It's 160 yards. It's a sport weight. And I think I can use, I mean, the reason I bought it, I bought 4 skeins, right? I'm not going to take them all out of the bag, but I have 4 skeins of it, and I'm planning to use this for that top that I wanted to make for Emma, that I originally bought that flax yarn. Was it flax? Oh gosh, yeah, the crunchy yarn. She had wanted burgundy, and that was a color that I could find that I thought she would like, but then I realized it was going to take a lot of work just to get that yarn ready to use so that it wasn't super crunchy. And since there's a lot of like cabling and lace stuff along the border of that top, I wanted it to show well, and I think this will be a much better option. So when I brought it home, I showed it to her. I'm like, do you like this color? I know it's not the same burgundy as the other one, but I did ask Bill in the shop, does this look like burgundy to you? And he said yes, but he said, I'm not the color person. So we're going with this as burgundy. And Emma said it looked more plum to her, but she liked it and she's fine with this for her top. So that is my plan. And I'm now much more excited about starting that top for her. Although here we are, we're going into September and I'm going to make this little tank toppy thing for her. So hopefully she'll get a little wear out of it. And if not this year, I guess next year, but she can always put it on under a sweater or something, I guess. I don't know. So those were the things that I bought at Heavenly Yarns in Belfast, Maine. They are at 133 High Street, Belfast, Maine. So that was my first yarn stop. And then another day we got up to Machias. I don't pronounce things well. I've realized that Maine cities look like they should be pronounced one way and then they're pronounced a totally different way. I thought it was Machias, like Machias Port, but the woman in Machias called it Machias, so we'll go with that. Anyway, the shop's name was Woolies, and oh gosh, I totally forget her name too. I'm so bad at saying this stuff. Anyway, it was a much smaller shop, but she also had a bunch of different Maine yarns, and she was very fun, and she had a really pretty big fluffy dog. Anyway, so I ended up getting this yarn, which is from Five Sisters Farm, and it's homegrown in Down East, Maine. I think I did look up what actual town they're in, but I don't remember. Anyway, so here's their little tag. And I got 2 skeins of this. It's a CVM Rommeldale. If you aren't familiar, CVM is California Variegated Mutant. And I did research this real quickly because I could not remember all the details. Okay, so Rommeldale was a breed that was created, I don't know, bred in the early 1900s here in the United States. It was originally, it was a cross of Romney and Rambouillet. And so they had that breed for a while. And then somewhere in the 60s, suddenly colored Rommeldales started showing up. So the cross between the Romney and the Rambouillet was called Rommeldale. And it was a white wool, a natural, light colored wool. And then these colored lambs started showing up in that breed. And so they called that CVM, or California Variegated Mutant. So when I looked at this and I saw CVM Rommeldale, I thought, oh, it must be a cross, but it's not. CVM is like a subset of Rommeldale. So that's why it's not like a bright white. It's a different color because of that colored yarn, I guess, colored fleece. Anyway, I just thought it was really pretty. It was actually, there was this color, and then there was like a little bit darker, more of a brownish, this is more of an oatmeal. There was a little bit of a brownish, more brownish color. And again, I'm asking Bill, which do you like better? He's like, they look very similar. I'm like, they're not the same. Anyway, so I ended up getting 2 of these. I would have liked, they had 3 skeins of this and 2 of the darker. I would have really liked to have gotten all of it, but again, it's a farm yarn, and it was not inexpensive. They were $39 a skein, which is not a lot for a farm yarn. I don't, small farms, you want to support them, right? And it is a bigger skein too. They're 4-ounce skeins, not, just 100-gram skeins. So it's 265 yards. Worsted weight, I don't know what it will become, but it will be something fun, and I will love it. It's very squishy. Oh my gosh, soft and squishy. And smells woolly. It's got that nice woolly smell. Okay, so anyway, this was the second yarn shop that we went to. At this point, okay, so I should also point out, we're on motorcycles, right? And our motorcycles were pretty packed. So when I went to that first shop in Belfast, I was talking to the woman. I'm like, you know, I said, oh, we're on motorcycles. She's like, I can ship your yarn for you free. I'm like, thank you, which is why I ended up buying as much, because I did not have to worry about bringing it home on the motorcycles. At this point, this was at least halfway through the trip, and like things were starting to pile up, and so we didn't have a lot of space, so I held myself to 2 skeins of yarn. The nice thing about yarn is it's squishy. You can squish it in the bags. All right, and then the final shop that we went to was in Calais, which again, I would pronounce Calais, because that's how it's spelled, C-A-L-A-I-S, but no, I was told by the woman in Machias that it's called Calais. So, and that was Dun Roving Yarns. I had heard of Dun Roving Yarns before. She dyes all her own yarns. Apparently, the owner was not there when we stopped. Her granddaughter was minding the shop, and from what she could tell me, of the yarns that were there, there was no yarn that was actually made from fiber local to Maine. The Dun Roving yarn, which her grandmother dyes, is dyed in Maine, and there was another brand there that there was a little bit of yarn, and I think that was also dyed in Maine, but the fiber itself was not sourced in Maine. So anyway, at that point, I didn't need any more, but I wanted to purchase something from this shop. The young lady was very nice and took her time with us. And so I thought, well, even though it's not Maine-oriented fiber, I'll get something where the color means something. And so I got this, which is really, isn't that pretty? It's called Seal Island, which Seal Island is an island off the coast of Maine that they used for like bombing practice or something in World War II. You can't go out there anymore. Right now I think it's like a bird sanctuary and everything, but they don't let people go out to the island because of the risk of unexploded ordnances. I don't know how that bodes for the birds. Birds and turtles, maybe. Anyway, hopefully they're not burrowing into an unexploded ordnance. Anyway, so here's Seal Island. It's got that really pretty blue. There's a little bit of like really bright green in there. So I got that, and this was called, okay, the colorway is called Seal Island. It's 100% domestic superwash merino. It's kind of, well, I was going to say it's a light fingering weight, but it again is a 4-ounce skein, 480 yards. So there's good yardage on here. And this is the skein I got to go with it. There is this darker blue in here too. So like that's sort of it looks dark gray. It's a bluish gray. Anyway, I think this goes really well. And it's a one-of-a-kind colorway. It doesn't have a colorway name. So I bought these two to go together. And I, again, have this idea that I could either weave with it, or it's more likely I will use this for like a 2-color shawl. I think this would make a nice 2-color shawl. So that was my final yarn purchase. As I said, I had one more yarn shop, that one Lupin shop. The owner of which I have met her before. We vended together one time when I vended at an event in Maine. And so I would have liked to have stopped in there. Plus, I think they carry fabrics. It's probably just as well that I didn't get to stop there, because definitely would have probably had to have her ship me stuff home. But anyway, it was fun. So those are my souvenirs that I brought home for the most part. We did pick up other little things along the way, but you know, this is the really fun, and all my pictures. That's what will be my memories of the trip. So, but those are all my new things. Acquisitions. That was the word I was trying to think of before when I said the other thing that was not the word acquisitions. Oh boy. All right, so that's everything. The only other thing I'm going to mention to you is the 2021 Nature Make-Alongs. We're still doing that. We are still in the 3rd section of that, the 3rd period, which is August and September, and the theme for that is sea, S-E-A, but it's really anything water related, like seas, oceans, ponds, rivers, streams, puddles, any naturally occurring water, rain, hurricanes, whatever you want to use, as long as you can somehow tie it into the theme of water like that, you're good to go. It could be the pattern name, it could be the yarn color, the yarn name, whatever. All that information is both on the Fiber Nymph Dye Works website, in the blog, which is linked in the show notes, and there's also a thread in Ravelry. So at the end of September, I will do a drawing for those participating in this quarter of the Make Along, and I hope you will join in, because I would love for you to be a part of it. It's very low-key, not high stress, not a ton of rules, so check it out, because even if you haven't participated up to this point, you're welcome to jump in now, and I would love to have you be a part of it. Okay, that's everything for 90%. We're going to jump into some shop news now. First of all, if you shopped with me while I was away, thank you so much, because I came home to a whole bunch of orders. If you're on my newsletter list, you would have received a newsletter right before I left that gave you a newsletter subscriber exclusive coupon code to use while I left. So there are benefits to being on my newsletter. It's not just me sending out blah, blah, blah. Sometimes I give you good deals. So anyway, if you took advantage of that, thank you so very much. I really appreciate that. It was nice to come home to orders and get them shipped out. They all went out today. I got everything packed up yesterday and they went out today. If they were in stock items. If you ordered something that's not in stock, obviously it'll go out to you when it's ready. Anyway, let's talk about the Pigskin Party stuff again. Okay, so I showed you my sock. Here, I'll grab it again. So this is my colorway, my exclusive colorway for this year's Pigskin Party, which is sponsored by the Down Seller Studio podcast, that's run by Jen, who is Boston Jen 1, I believe, on Ravelry and Instagram, or maybe just Boston Jen on Ravelry. Anyway, Jennifer Lassonde, she's also a pattern designer, and she designs lovely patterns, but she runs this event. So this is my exclusive colorway, No Place Like Home. So that will be available for the duration of the Pigskin Party, which it's based on the NFL season, so that runs all the way through like early February. So you've got lots of time to be able to order that. As I said before, the colorway was inspired by this fabric that Steph of Adorn It is using for her Pigskin Party exclusive bags. So this is one of the bags, and you know what? She did tell me which size bag this is, and I totally forget. Sorry, Steph. But I will put all of that information in the show notes below. She has 2 different sizes of bags, I believe. And look at these. Aren't these cute? The little handles have Pigskin Party 2021 stitched into them, and then Adorn It on the other side of the handle, and the inside is that red. Now, for these sets that we put together, you're getting this bag, this exact color combination of bag, 1 skein of yarn on Bounce, and then there is a collection of stitch markers, which will be, here, I'm going to take them out so I can show you. Her stitch markers are always wonderful. By the way, if you ever buy one of my pie skeins of yarn, or a skein of yarn that it's essential that I mark the beginning of the skein, the little ring marker that's on those skeins come from from Steph from Adorn It. I buy my markers from her because her markers are always really well made, and so I love being able to support her business in that way. So anyway, there's a whole bunch of little ring markers here. I can't remember how many, and I'm not going to take the time to count, but they're different colors, but they all coordinate with the fabric. Can you see? And then there's this cute little house marker. Come on, there we go. This is a stitch marker, and then there is also a progress keeper. So these are the little greenhouse progress keepers. Now I'm telling you these specific colors because if you don't get a set, all of the sets I believe are the same, like the ones she had and then these ones that I'm going to have in my shop. And like I said, there's only going to be 6 of these full sets. And once the full sets are gone, then you can still get the stuff, but you'd have to buy it individually, like the bags and the markers from her and the yarn from me. But if you go to her shop and you buy the bag or the markers separately. There are other color options that you can get, but just not for the set. So anyway, so here's the bag again, and the yarn will all be on Bounce for the sets, but I am going to be offering it in the shop on Bounce, Bedazzled, Mountain Tweed, and those are the fingering weights, Traveler Sport Weight, and Cozy Worsted Weight. So you can choose any of those if you're just buying the yarn from my shop. I'm going to be doing, like, the yarn for the sets, that's ready to go. Those are ready to go out. They'll ship in my normal shipping window time. But if you buy just the yarn from the shop, I'm running that the same way that I did for my Splash Pad Party yarn this year. It will be dyed to order and it'll ship out within 2 to 3 weeks. So you will have a little bit of a wait for those, but they'll be coming pretty quick. And again, the Pigskin Party is a much longer term event. It's like over like September, October, November, December, January, yeah, over 5 months long. So plenty of time to get your yarn and use it for a project during the event, because I'm a Pro Shop sponsor, and that means that if you use my exclusive colorway, you get extra points to earn prizes or win prizes in the event. Anyway, all of the details about the Pigskin Party event, which I don't run, I'm a sponsor, that is all in Jen's, both her Ravelry group and on her website, and I will link to both of those things in the show notes as well. So both places accessible, however you can get to them, and you can read all about that. Her events are always so wonderful. I say this every time. I've sponsored her events for a long time, and I've finally started participating in them. I think last year for the Pigskin Party, that was the first one I really participated in. They're always a lot of fun. She has so many things going on, and you know, just different ways to participate. It can be as low stress or as competitive as you want to be, but I would highly recommend checking that out. And again, if you're interested in seeing what the other bag options are, go to Steph's site, that's Adorn It. I'll link that below. And again, if you want the sets, I will have 6 of them available. They're going to go live in the shop tomorrow, which is September 1st at 5 p.m. Eastern. And those are the only sets I'll have. So once they're gone, they're gone. But again, you can still get the bags and stitch markers from Steph and the yarn from me. I feel like I've said that all a million times now, so I will stop saying it. I just want to make sure that you guys know where it's at. So that's the only thing that's going to be going up in the shop new tomorrow, Wednesday, September 1st. My next regular shop update will be on Friday, September 10th at 5 p.m. Eastern. And that will be a big fall colorways update. So I will be having a lot of my past fall colorways in the shop. Let's see, some of the ones off the top of my head that I remember I'm putting up there. There will be more Leaf Pile. There will be Mountain House Autumn. I think I'm doing After the Harvest, which I have both a bright and a more muted colorway for After the Harvest. What are some other ones? I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's going to be a bunch. And I have a new fall colorway that I'm hoping to get done for that update. So you can be watching for that. I'm not 100% sure that I'm going to get another podcast in before that update, but if I don't, I will probably put together a short little shop update preview video. So you'll be able to see that here on YouTube. But I will also be posting about stuff, you know, on all the usual places, in Instagram, on the Facebook page, and of course in the newsletter. That's always the best place to see get all of the news in a timely fashion, is in the update. But for now, you can mark the date, September 10th at 5 p.m. Eastern. That will be my big fall update. So Halloween colorways will not be in that update. They will be coming in like the next big update after that. So stay tuned for that. But I don't have news about that yet. Got to get through fall first. Okay, so that is the next update. And then I already mentioned the Yarn Club, the Encore Yarn and Fiber Club. Those signups are closing today. And again, by the time you see this, they'll probably be already closed. Sorry about that, but hopefully you were able to sign up if you wanted to. And if when you see this, if you really wanted to sign up and you didn't get to, and it's within a day or two of having them closed, get in touch with me. And if I can, I will be happy to let you in. It's not full right now, so I think I'll probably still have a handful of spots left if you want to. But since I'm putting this out there so late and close to the closing, you know, just get in touch with me. I'll do what I can for you. Okay, that's everything for shop news. Let me talk to you a little bit about vacation. I did take a whole ton of pictures. I will try to put some in here as I talk about things. Hey guys, it's Future Lisa. It's later in the day and lighting is horrible in here, but you know what? I needed to pop in and say that I apologize, but I am going to have to hold off on putting my vacation review in at the end of this podcast because I wanted to put in a whole bunch of pictures, but I don't have the pictures downloaded yet, and a lot of the good ones are actually on Bill's camera. So I need to hold off on that because otherwise it would just be a lot of me talking, and that would probably be a little boring. So anyway, I'm going to just wrap up the podcast here for today, and I will put together a separate little video recapping our vacation, and that way if you're interested in it you can watch that later once I get that up, and if you aren't interested then you won't have to deal with it or whatever, you can just be done. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that in here because I'm trying to get the podcast processed and uploaded by, like, hopefully tonight, but by tomorrow morning at the very, very latest. So, since there's timely information in it. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know that's why there will not be any vacation talk in here as my What's Bringing Me Joy section, although I can tell you it did bring me a lot of joy to go away on vacation, and I'll give you more of those details in a future extra video. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say, and that's it. I'm gonna go, and I will talk to you again. Hopefully I will get to record again next week before I do my update, but if not, I'll record shortly after. But don't forget about the update. Again, these sets, the bags, markers, and yarn sets will be going in the shop tomorrow night, September 1st at 5 p.m. Eastern, as well as the listing for just the yarn. And then my next regular update, which will be the fall colorways update, that will be next Friday, September 10th at 5 p.m. Eastern. All the information will be in the show notes. If you follow the podcast but aren't subscribed to it yet, you might want to hit subscribe so that you know when I do post new episodes, since I don't post on a super regular basis, but I usually get at least 2 episodes up a month. And if you're not subscribed to my newsletter, go ahead and head to the website fibernymphdyworks.com, and there's a link up at the top and at the bottom that you can subscribe to the newsletter, and that's the best way to stay on top of any, you know, news about updates or clubs or special happenings in the shop. That's the way to go. So you can subscribe there. I only send out about 1 newsletter a week max. Sometimes they get smushed together if there's 2 things happening in close succession, but usually about 1 a month. So anyway, that's everything. Hope you guys are doing super well, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.